It's kind of a lot of work, like walking down this runway and having all the paparazzi pictures and everything at this gala. Is this your first Met Gala, or?
Oh, I've been to multiple Met Galas.
Oh, really?
I'm a seasoned Met Gala veteran.
Oh my gosh. Well, so what are you doing with the theme this year? Like, tell me about your outfit.
Well, this year, my very fun blue dress.
Oh, okay.
It represents where I live, the Blue Ridge Mountains in Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
And there used to be a Native American tribe there until the white man moved it out. And so now I am wearing this dress as in solidarity to give the land back to the natives.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so brave.
Yeah. I mean, not my house.
Oh, okay.
But the other places in the Blue Ridge, those go back to not where I live, but
that is really
the other ones. That's what I'm all about.
Honestly, I mean, like we're here to make statements, and I think that's like super brave of you to walk out here and really do that. I think that's great.
Yeah, no, I also did last year. I had this other blue dress, and it was against the police. Even though after the event, this guy tried to attack me, and the police saved me. But the thing is that those kind of things don't matter when we have a systematic oppression of all sorts of things in this country.
Right, yeah. I think we kind of went in similar directions. As you can see, I'm wearing a black dress. There's no other colors present, especially not white, because, I can never have whiteness sort of come into a space that I'm surrounded in or an environment that I'm surrounded in. So that was really important to me and my designer in this dress. What really happened is we decided to use black dye, of course, but what was really important in the components of the dye that went into this dress is that we actually used tears collected from white males to make this dye for this dress.
I'm sorry, did you say black dye?
Yes.
You want black people to die?
Sir, no. I'm just saying the dye on the dress is black.
I heard what you said.
I would never say anything that semantically led anybody to Black Death. Do you understand that?
I don't know if I believe that.
And scene. I was not expecting you to say that.
What do you mean you weren't expecting?
I don't know. It was really clever.
No, you have to be
I wasn't
ready.
expecting you.
If you're going to say something racist, Amala, I'm going to call you out for it. Okay?
I was like trying to keep the leftist character while that was happening in my brain, but it was definitely tough. I almost short-circuited there for a second. But that skit was in regard to the Met Gala. And if any of you are in tune to pop culture and really anything happening with the sphere of elites when it comes to the Met Gala, this year in particular was quite a fun one. I'm going to show you a tweet here. So let's just remind you all that the Met Gala is really a show of prosperity, wealth, and elitism. We have celebrities, politicians show up in this space in the most extravagant outfits, all pertaining to one theme. Now, the theme this year was meant to be America, and here is what some of our...
Wait, I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's what the theme was?
Yes.
Oh, no way. I had no idea.
The theme was meant to be America. That was the theme of the Met Gala this year. Now, here's who we have showing up. We have this woman here in an equal rights for women outfit.
Well, no, it's funny that she has an equal rights for women outfit. Well, actually, we'll get into some of the other pictures, so I'll save this commentary.
Okay, save it. Okay.
Zipped it up.
Next, we have Cara Delevingne in a Peg the Patriarchy outfit.
Sounds painful.
I don't want really does sound painful for you, Will.
I don't know who this patriarchy guy is. I'm sure he's not going to enjoy it.
I'm anticipating a painless experience for myself and a not so painless one for you. This one, we have Megan Rapinoe with In Gay We Trust, not In God We Trust, but in her very Uncle Sam-esque outfit, In Gay We Trust. And lastly, this young lady here in her Tax the Rich dress.
There's got to be some of the other pictures from here because I wanted to show some of the other ones that have, maybe you can pull it up, Amala, and try and find it.
There's a lot of them under here.
It's the one with our favorite New York City congresswoman, and she's walking down the aisle. And this is with all the people, not just her, but with all the people who are walking down, getting their photos taken and everything. You see all of the other people there, like the wait staff or whoever, and they're all in masks. They're all sitting there. They're all in black. They're in mask. Is that one?
I'll find it for you.
Find the picture because I want people to see, because it's actually like a very stark contrast, and I think it plays to the greater, I guess,
the greater problem
the greater
here?
problem of what this is. Essentially, that these people are the slaves and these are the masters. in a way that these people are essentially like, they can go out and not have to wear masks, but then you have to send your children to school for 8 hours a day masked, even when they are less likely to die or get sick from the virus than someone who is older. Yet they have to wear masks for 8 hours a day in school, and these people at the Met Gala don't have to. But then all the wait staff and the people who aren't the famous elites have to stand there in their masks, looking on as these rich people walk by.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so emblematic of actual true leftist elitism in this country. It makes no sense. And to show up to a Met Gala, and let's give you the metrics on this, a seat at the Met Gala or just, you know, a ticket to the Met Gala is $30,000. If you want to sit at a table, it's $275,000 to sit at a table at the Met Gala. And here we have...
Buy a table.
What was that?
Buy a table.
Yeah, to have a table at the Met Gala.
Yep.
Yeah. So these people show up wearing their tax the rich gowns and equal rights for women, and we are women fighting against the patriarchy, as you spent $30,000 to even get into the venue.
Yeah. I mean, it is for, we have to be frank, that, I mean, it is for charity. I mean, that's what the Met Gala is about. It's a charity event, so that's what it's supposed to be. But the thing is that, you know, and I you can look this up. I mean, AOC got her ticket for free to go to this event. But regardless of all that, is that the problem is that these people claimed in interviews, one with Vogue, claimed that she was part of the working class. She said she was part of the working class. You don't go to the Met Gala in a dress and have like other people. She had her like wait staff. She has this long dress,
right,
and she's got these other people who are holding the dress behind her like some sort of like old school emperor, not letting his
I like how you're acting it out.
I'm acting out, like having his kimono touch the ground. These people are like holding up her dress, and you claim that you're a part of the working class. You make $175,000 a year. You, when the pandemic happened, what kind of pay cut did you take? Oh, no, you didn't take a pay cut. Oh, wait. Oh, you actually got a pay raise? Well, you told the rest of us that we had to shut our businesses down and that we weren't allowed to work and that some of us were non-essential? Well, you stayed with more money and getting all these deals and now going to the Met Gala unmasked. I mean, what a ridiculous, hypocritical thing to do. To claim you are part of the working class, to claim that you know what we are going through, that normal people are going through, is the most ludicrous thing. And this is what communists do. Communists do this. They've been doing it for ages. I mean, like in North Korea and Mao and Stalin, all these guys, they lived lives of luxury and then told you that they were helping you. But they weren't. Right. They weren't helping you at all. They lie and they live their rich lives full of splendor and wealth, and they tell you they're helping you. In reality, they are oppressing you, and they hate you. They look down on you. These people getting their photos taken are looking at the waitstaff who are there in their masks, and they're looking down on them and saying, ew, vermin, disgusting. They're not in my position. Like, it's horrible. But that's what communists do.
And regardless, I know the Met Gala is for charity. It doesn't matter. You are women, all of them here, except for our sitting politician, millionaires walking this little carpet talking about how oppressed you are while you live in your ivory towers with your private police and your millions and millions of dollars of annual revenue. And you want to hop on this carpet wearing dresses that say equal rights for women and peg the patriarchy and in gay we trust. Yeah, think about that. Replacing the word God with the word gay on the world stage for the Met Gala. It is ridiculous. And it's the highest form of just utter elitism that we've probably seen this entire year.
Well, how can these people claim that they're part of these oppressed groups? I mean,
how?
The equal rights for women in Gay We Trust. You are at one of the most prestigious events ever, having your pictures taken by tons of people, Getty Images. I mean, paying tons of money to be there with literally the richest people in the world, some of the richest people, most famous people in the world. And you are claiming that you are oppressed. This is, again, how communists work. They tell you that you're oppressed. They tell you that you have all these struggles and that they are a part of it. This is no populist message. This is nothing that is for the people. This is an oligarchical, elitist society that is using you. I mean, how can you not see when you watch these people walking down the runway that if you find these people to be endearing or as a champion for your rights or as someone who is a role model for you, you are a slave. You have a slave mentality if you believe these people have your best interests at heart. It's not even left versus right. It is slave versus master by looking at these people and saying, wow, these people are trying to control everything I do and claim that it's for social justice and for the greater good. Well, they go and do none of the things that they try and put on you.
Yeah, wearing these dresses, talking about equal rights and oppression while snapping their fingers and asking their masked up employees to come and fix the train of their dress.
Yeah.
It is absolutely ridiculous.
Another half-calf macchiato, sir.
Right, sat,
For
or
the
you're
oppressed
fired.
woman, for the oppressed woman
Yes,
here.
please. It's like, the theme of this is America. All of these women had the opportunity to step forward onto this stage, be patriotic, take a strong stance of love for this country, and go, look at me. Look at the amount of opportunity that I've been able to take by being an American. Look at where it got me. Look at how successful I am because I live in America. And I'm putting my money towards this cause for charity to make this country better. But no, they chose to go, you know what? I'm going to ignore all the success that I've come across in this country. I'm going to ignore the fact that we don't live in a patriarchy and that I've been able to become a successful woman, all of these women in different eras of their career, becoming successful here in America. I'm going to ignore all that and try to sell this story of oppression that I've heard for so long and that I feel like everybody needs to hear.
These people are evil. These people are genuinely evil. I mean, look, think about all of the things that they have said about people like you, me, Amala, all of us who have these different types of values. They have denigrated us and turned us into vermin to them, that we are lower class citizens to them. You know, they shame us if we don't agree with them. They shame us if we don't do the things that they want us to do. And then they go and do the exact things that they were professing before, and then telling us that we are still bad people for the things that we do. I mean, this is genuinely evil behavior to come and do that, to be that type of person and say that, you know, you are supposed to do these things, ostracize us, and then go around and do the exact opposite of what they preach. There's really no other word for it. It is evil. You have to be able to see past this. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you could be on the left. You could have leftist ideologies. You could, you know, think more, you know, social programs and be more progressive on social issues, like all these things. You could believe in that. Like, fair enough. But there's no way that you can't look at the elites in this country, these types of people, and say that they do not have your best interest at heart. I mean, it is practically impossible.
Right.
I would hope that, I mean, like, there's more unity between left-wing populism and right-wing populism than there is between even, you know, conservatives and some of the more far-right conservatives. You know, so it's like, we have to come together with the left on those things and wake people up on the left that it's like the elite in this country are evil and they hate you and they don't care about you. It's all for them.
Nothing proves oppression better than wearing $1,000 designer gown with
More
your
than
oppression. Oh, I'm just saying, at the very least, $1,000. Although some of these people show up and they're decked out in crystals and pearls, and that's tens of thousands of dollars. But at the very least, thousands of dollars on whatever you're wearing, with your story of oppression painted right on it, in front of a room, a gallery of paparazzis and crystal chandeliers and prime artisan paintings while you get photographed and watched by millions and millions of people who sit and clap for you. Nothing screams oppression more than that. And you know what? I'm sold. I am now a feminist who's fighting the patriarchy and is going to fight to tax the rich, because these 4 women have proven that to me. So thank you.
We didn't even talk about tax the rich. Jeez.
Yeah. We didn't even touch base on that. There's just so much going on.
They're just so bad. It's so bad. It makes me really angry. It makes me angry that these are the people that we herald in society as our great people. You know, that all of the news stations and the media comes out and talks about these types of people, heralds them as saviors and great people. That's sad to me. That's really sad to me. And that's why it makes me angry, because there are amazing, strong people who are trying to do good things for this country who don't get enough credit. I mean, look, we should even look at the people, like, we have normal, everyday Americans who took their own money to send planes to Afghanistan to save American citizens and bring them back home.
Right.
What did you hear about them? Did you hear anything? Barely anything. People don't even know these people's names. But you go to this and you see all these people in $1 million of worth of dresses, and these are the people heralded as heroes in this country. That is why it's angerfying. That's why it's angering, infuriating to me, because it shows such a backwards look on what society in America is today.
If somebody from any foreign country was like, I want to know about America, what is American culture like? This is what they tune into. This is what they get to see. This is their representation of what America is like. And that is atrocious. So
stand up for good values and don't listen to the elite in this country. Be an individual. Be an individual and find your own path, okay? Don't let these people tell you how to think and feel, because they're all losers. And we need to get a total and complete shutdown of all of this until we can figure out what's going on. Seriously, it should be illegal.
It really, it's like that was horrible. It was horrible. Anyways, let's cool ourselves down for a second.
I posted twice on Instagram yesterday.
I know.
On my feed, which I never do. I never post twice on Instagram in one day, because even though Craig probably wants me to, but I choose not to. And I did because I was like, this is just goodness gracious.
Right.
You know?
Well, before Will spontaneously combusts.
No, I'm not going to combust.
We are going to move on to our next segment, which we had an extremely special guest, and that's Christopher Rufo. We talk about him all the time on this program. Let's just get right into the interview. Guys, we have an extremely special guest on the show today. It's Christopher Rufo. I feel like Christopher Rufo is on the show even when he's not physically here, because we're always covering his stories. He is a fellow at the Manhattan Institute, as well as our resident CRT expert. So, Christopher, thank you so much for being on the program.
It's good to be with you.
Amazing. So you had a sort of a rough go of things recently. You're very popular on Twitter. That's the platform that I feel like most people know and love you from. But you had your verification badge sort of snatched from you. What happened there?
I did, yeah. My kind of blue check was disappeared. It was taken away. Very odd. You know, two things happened in my kind of tech world. I got about a week ago a notification from Gmail, or from Google rather, where I host some of my email systems, my non-sensitive email systems, and my cloud storage. And they said that a government-backed attack was seeking entry into my email. So this was a kind of state-sponsored intelligence agency. I'm not sure which one, foreign, domestic, was seeking access to my email. And then, you know, a week later, I think, you know, by coincidence, most likely, Google just removes my check, said I was incorrectly verified, and then just snatches it away. And I think that it shows both our vulnerability as individuals, but also the arbitrary nature of a lot of the policies from tech, which, while I can't say why it happened, I can't discern intentions, I don't know from behind the scenes, it at least raises the suspicion that there is some kind of bias, there's some kind of lack of transparency, there's some kind of effort, you know, when you've been a naughty conservative, they're going to take your stuff away. That's what it feels like, at least to me.
Right. I just had my run-in with this yesterday. I've been banned off TikTok numerous times now, but I went on Instagram to do a live video yesterday. Nothing political, just to play music for the people who follow me, and banned from doing live videos, and simply because of community guidelines violations that go along with my political beliefs. So we share that space. Have you had any help in sort of fighting back against this?
Yeah, you know, the media has been really great. I had a lot of articles written about it, raising some kind of the alarm, sounding the alarm. And Glenn Greenwald's made a nice tweet, you know, kind of coming to my defense. Also noting that the first time someone was unverified was Julian Assange. So there is a kind of backstory to some of this unverification. And then, you know, I've had some people reach out behind the scenes, although if you're listening and you have any connections with Twitter, please reach out to me to try to see what happened and see if we can get it fixed. And, you know, at the end of the day, we only can do what we do. And I don't think it certainly doesn't make me feel like I need to change what I do, to censor what I do. I think of myself as a fairly moderate, rational, reasonable person. And so it's sometimes kind of funny when I look at the news coverage about me in the New York Times or the Post, they present me as some kind of flame-throwing, arch conservative ideologue. And it just kind of, it's like, it's so bewildering. It doesn't feel like, to me, that's what I am. And I oftentimes don't even recognize myself in some of the coverage.
See, you're a white man talking about CRT, so that's basically what you get, essentially. You are this horrible conservative Nazi racist. But almost like I'm not verified. I have over 100,000 followers on Twitter, not verified. You know, someone like Dave Portnoy isn't verified. James O'Keefe was never verified. I feel like this is kind of, for you, in some respect, almost a second badge of honor, is being unverified. Like, the people at Twitter, these leftists, hate you so much because you speak so much truth that you get unverified. It's almost like a kind of cool thing to know
it's
that
the
you
new
are
cool.
fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the new verification badge is no verification badge. And I'm not just saying that because I'm unverified.
You got to get it and then get it taken away. That's really the double the double trick.
Exactly. What do you think is the main problem when it comes to these big social media sites? I mean, we're obviously seeing you being, your blue check mark being taken away. We're seeing censorship about conservatives all over the place. I mean, we saw this during the election, and it's just all over with the shadow banning and demonetization and all sorts of things. Do you think that those kind of things tie in with a lot of the CRT that you talk about, or what do you think is the biggest problem when it comes to these big tech overlords we have now?
I think there are two types of media, right? You have a kind of high production media. So you look at Hollywood, television programs, kind of more artistic creations that are really dominated by the left and have been dominated by the left for many years. And then you look at the kind of low tech, lower production, lower barrier to entry media, such as talk radio, Facebook, Twitter, live streams, podcasts that are easier entry and require less production. Conservatives actually do really, really well on those platforms, dominate talk radio, have historically dominated kind of sharing on Twitter. And so I think what the tech companies have realized is that the people who are increasingly using their services, using their platforms and doing actually really well, reaching big audiences, having a lot of influence, are people that are not like them, that do not think like them, that do not share the same values as they do. And they're now kind of shocked. They thought that their platforms would liberate a kind of progressive utopian vision, and that would remake the world in their image. And now they're confronted with this problem that the people who actually oppose that vision in some cases are using their platform to advance something different. And so they're trying to figure out, what do we do? Do we kind of take a heavy-handed approach? Do we take a more kind of subtle approach? And this is the thing that we're seeing. And I think the President Trump ban was really the Rubicon moment where they said, you know what, we're going to actually start drawing a line and enforcing a political orthodoxy, and we're going to take the heat from, banning a sitting president. And now we're living in the wake of that. And I know PragerU has had many run-ins. I have had my own small run-ins in my own way. And we're all in this fight. We're all experiencing this kind of jostling back and forth. And the future is unknown. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, it sucks that we have to go on big tech and big social media to talk about the censorship that they are doing to us on their own platforms. It's kind of ironic in a sense that that's what we have to do, but it's really the best means of getting our messages out. And, one thing I hear a lot of people talking about is, creating our own platforms and things like that as conservatives and truth-loving people. But for me, I think that people who are conservative need to be on these other social media platforms, because if we want to influence people who have a difference of opinion than us or change their minds, Amala was a leftist before getting involved with PragerU. I was a liberal atheist before getting involved. And it's like, if it wasn't for social media, we wouldn't be in this position. What do you think about the argument of just going and creating our own social media? Or do you think we should try and stick it out with the ones that we already have?
I think that, yeah, sure, you can create an alternative platform. I don't think there's any harm in that. But what you have is then you have a kind of conservative technological ghetto. Conservatives don't have the market power, don't have the kind of engineering power, don't have the aesthetic power to create a true rival. Getter and Parler, et cetera, will never have even a significant market share compared to Twitter, because they're derivative products and they're inferior products, frankly. And so I think that the solution is not to create a kind of an alternative echo chamber at a very small scale. The solution is to recognize that even as a free market conservative, when you have monopoly conditions, you justify some regulation, some government intervention. Even very hardcore libertarians would agree. Under monopoly conditions, whether it's Standard Oil or YouTube, some government regulation is necessary and appropriate. And I think that when you have these monopolies, YouTube, again, a kind of video platform monopoly, Twitter, social media, kind of microblogging monopoly, Facebook, interpersonal monopoly in a sense, this now comprises the new public square. And these are really public platforms for public debate. And the founders were very clear on this, that political speech is the most important speech to protect. It's the essential speech category of our First Amendment. And therefore, I think there's a good argument to be made that these companies, should be, I mean, look, they're great companies. They've created an incredible public service. They've allowed people who were voiceless to have a voice. But there is now, I think, an obligation to the public that these should be essentially a public square services, public square platforms. And they should at least be, you can't be, threatening to kill someone. There's certainly a line, right, on the First Amendment, freedom of speech. But I think that there has to be simple, neutral, accountable, transparent mechanisms to guarantee that people who are engaging in political speech are protected and not going to be at the whims of an arbitrary ideological power.
Well, sadly, they want to say that they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to say that they have editorial control over what happens, but then they also want to say that they're a public forum open to all, and that's the great joke that they've basically played on us, it seems.
Yeah, all while hiding the indoctrination that they're trying to put people through. Now, I kind of want to shift gears to a PragerU project that you've been heavily involved in and is coming out tomorrow, and that is a short documentary called Miseducated. So we're going to play the trailer really quickly, and then we have a couple questions about your involvement in this project.
And these lessons are poison for all kids. The design of this is to put into the minds of kids as young as kindergarten that you are not like him. He is not like her. All of these things are designed to divide you.
The system's set up to where if you're teaching anything about gender identity, that you don't even have to notify parents when it's being taught. Parents have no idea, and they don't know how radically the sex ed has changed.
Here in America, our kids are taught divisive racial ideologies, skewed history, and a new kind of sex education that robs them of their innocence. This is the miseducation of our children.
Okay, so that's a new PragerU short documentary that's coming out featuring you, Christopher Rufo, called Miseducated, The Decline of America's Schools. Now, this has been getting out everywhere. It's all over social media, on every single platform. I'm seeing people talk about the infiltration of CRT and gender theory and this really horrible sex education that young people are being subjected to in our schools. And it seems like people are fighting back and responding to it. An article out of the Journal says that 1.1 million students have now left the public school system, and we're seeing a massive boom in homeschooling. Do you feel like this sort of indoctrination is a key player in that shift?
I think it is. I think obviously the pandemic was probably the number one, but the pandemic was number one for two reasons. The pandemic, first off, shut down schools. So parents are saying, well, if my kid wants to learn anything, I better get more involved. But second, even for kids who were attending school virtually, parents got a kind of an ugly look into what's happening in the classroom, what's actually being taught. And then I think the combination of those two things really pushed parents to say, wait a minute, I need to get more involved. I need to find out what's happening in our schools. I need to show up at city council or rather school board meetings. You're seeing that happening everywhere. And then in some cases, I'm better off actually pulling my kid from the public school system, finding an alternative. And this is, a hardship, obviously, for many parents. But the unintended benefit of this is that parents are now starting to raise questions about what's happening. Parents are seeing a really ugly side within the public education system. And then they're actually using their creative energies and faculties to try to find new solutions. And I think that this is going to be a huge jolt of energy for people who want to see more parental control, kind of better education, better curriculum. And I think that that's the first I saw of the trailer. So it's very exciting to see that trailer. I think this would also play a part in getting out that message.
We were talking before on the show about whether or not we've had some states like Idaho and others who have said we are going to ban CRT from being taught in our classrooms. And I said, I think that's a good idea. I think that banning it is best when you are teaching little white kids that they're racist and little black kids that they are oppressed. I think that's a horrible thing to do. What do you think about that? What's your take on whether or not it should be banned or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely have supported that and worked actually with many of the state legislatures in Texas, Idaho, Tennessee, Florida at the Board of Education level. 9 states now have done this, and I think we're going to see another 5 to 10 states join with this movement next year when the legislatures are back in session. But it's really, I think, essential. You shouldn't teach that, for example, the language in many of these bills, one race is superior to another. Members of one race should be held responsible for the historical crimes committed by people who look like them, or that one race or another is inherently oppressive or racist or victimized. These are really crass generalizations and reductions that only serve to fill kids with either guilt and shame or pessimism and despair. They don't actually improve educational outcomes, and they're intellectually kind of bogus formulations. So, state legislatures have a responsibility. You have limited time in the classroom. What's being taught, what's not being taught. They have to make these selections. And the beauty of it is that now the people, the voters, the public, through their state representatives, get to decide these are the values we want to transmit through our public school systems. These are the values we do not want to transmit through our public school systems. This is the heart of democracy. This is the heart of public control over public education. And I think it's just starting. This is a good beginning, but we have to now offer better alternatives, better curricula, better pedagogies, so that parents in places like Texas and Florida and Idaho can be confident that when I send my child to a public school, it reflects my values, it reflects my priorities, and they're going to get something that's valuable.
Well, we live here in Los Angeles, the hellhole that it is, as I'm sure you're aware. And I don't have kids yet, I don't think. And but one day, I want to have kids. And let's say my state that I live in, California, isn't going to ban CRT. What do you say to parents who live in a state or a city that is not doing that or not really pushing to make these things outlawed? What do you give as advice to those parents on what they should do for their kids?
Yeah, this is a good question. And, I have 2 kids. My oldest is in elementary school. My youngest has just started preschool. Very exciting. And I live in Washington State, so it's a very similar environment. And I used to live in the city of Seattle. And my wife and I really you can try to change the school system in Los Angeles or Seattle. God bless you if that's your passion and what you're fighting for. But by the time your kids graduate from high school, it's not going to change. These are very slow-moving, very entrenched bureaucracies and institutions. So I recommend, just from a practical point of view, you have a couple options. If you want to, say, live in the city of Los Angeles or New York or Berkeley or Seattle, you have 2 options. One is to move, to go to a part of the state or another state even, that you would find a school system that is already set up that reflects your values to a greater degree. That's what I did. I moved to a small town in Washington State. You have much better options, much better schools. Actually, my local school district where I live in rural Washington State banned critical race theory by unanimous vote. So they said, nope, we're not going to do this, even though we're in Washington State. Or you can send your kids to a kind of alternative school, which is private school, Catholic school, religious school, Christian school, a Jewish school in some places. And, that costs money, but I think many parents make the decision that it's a worthwhile expenditure if they can afford it. And then that's the short-term solution for you personally. The longer-term solution is to try to get reform. And then I think ultimately to try to get more school choice so that, I can pull out my kids and send them to private school. I have the means to do so. But every family should have the right to exit. So if you're stuck in a failing school in the city of Los Angeles and you don't have money or in the working class, I think you should be able to take your education dollars, that probably around $18,000 a year that the city of Los Angeles public schools are spending on you. You should be able to take that and apply it anywhere. So if you say, hey, I want to pull my kid out of this failing, kind of indoctrinating public school in South LA, and I want to go to a charter school or a private school or a Catholic school, you should be able to take that money with you. And I think ultimately that's really the fight, is the right to exit. Everyone should have a right to exit a system that's failing them. And I think that's what we're seeing more and more from education reformers.
Well, Christopher, I want to thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Honestly, you are an honorary employee at our podcast with how much we use your Twitter and your stories.
That's good. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. If you guys want to see more from Christopher, you can follow him on social media. You can check out his 5-minute video that he did with us here at PragerU. He is also featured in our upcoming short documentary that comes out tomorrow called Miseducated. Christopher, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you so much.
So cool. What a great opportunity. Chris is, again, doing amazing work. So I always like talking to him and seeing what he's doing and hearing what he has to say.
Mm-hmm. You talk to him a lot?
I mean, every now and then. I've hung out with Chris a couple times, actually.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I don't want to, don't want to toot my own horn, but.
No, I. Please. Amazing.
Anyways, guys, so we're going to be doing a watch party on the show tomorrow at 2:30 PST with Jill Simonian from PragerU Kids to go over our newest short documentary, give it a watch, give you our initial reactions, called Miseducated. So I'm looking forward to it.
We are looking forward to it. You know what I'm looking forward to? Just got to do it.
You got to do it.
1 week, guys. In 1 week from today, my book comes out, How to Win Friends and Influence Enemies, Your Guide to Changing Minds. There's a topic, there's 17 chapters in here. Each one is based on a different political or cultural topic where you can take the values and the information, the facts, and also the questions that I give you to be able to use to change people's minds. The conversations that we're having in politics now are not productive to actually getting people to change their mind, or at least be educated, even if they don't change their mind, but at least open up to a different point of view. That's what this book is for. I've gone and talked to thousands of people, and I made this book so that you guys can do the exact same thing that I do. And so we're 1 week out, and I'm gonna level with you guys. We're getting pretty close to New York Times bestseller list, hopefully. It's tough with knowing what the numbers are because they're somewhat arbitrary when it comes to saying, oh, you can sell this many books, but you actually have to sell this many books. And it's also like, maybe because I'm conservative, they're going to say, oh, we don't want to put you on there, even though you outsold someone else. So it is kind of arbitrary, and it's tough when you're in my position as a conservative. But what I can tell you now is that we are getting very close where it's coming to a point where they are going to say, there's no denying that he made this list at this point. So what I need you guys to do is you can buy this book anywhere books are sold. We got to get on that list. And it's not just for me, it is for everyone. It's for America generally, and I genuinely say that because I wrote this book for other people so that they can actually use it. That's what I want to do, and I want to get on that list so that more people can hear about the book, read the book, understand good conversations to have, how to influence enemies and win friends. So the book is available, How to Win Friends and Influence Enemies by Will Witt, anywhere books are sold. You can go on Amazon, Books A Million, BarnesandNoble.com, Target, any of those places. You can also get a signed copy at the link in my Instagram bio if you would like to. And PragerU also has a special that you can get a signed copy from PragerU. You should have got an email about it. It's also on our website where you give $100 and you get Will Witt socks and a signed book and a special note and a bookmark. That's for $100 through PragerU. So check that out on PragerU.com. But guys, we're getting really close. I just got to plug this real quick because it's a really big deal. It's my first book, and so I'm very, very passionate about this, and I want to help people. So anywhere books are sold, How to Win Friends and Influence Enemies by Will Witt.
If you pre-order Will's book, he will personally come to your house and change your mind about something.
No, that is not in the contract, okay? No, that's
it would be pretty cool if it was.
If Scott buys a book, I'll do it. But that's it. That's probably about it.
Yeah,
so.
I think that's everybody's deal.
Yeah, no, we're all on the same. Yeah, no, if you pre-order a book, Scott will come to your house and change your mind on something. So.
Or he'll just come to your house. Isn't that enough?
No, whatever.
I think that's enough, ladies. And gentlemen.
Yeah, and listen, gentlemen too.
They don't call him the flipper for nothing.
We're a very progressive group over here.
Anyways, guys, full of jokes today. Now, here is something that came out in the news today, which was nobody in our office was happy about. We're all super big fans of Norm Macdonald, and it turns out that he's passed away today at the age of 61 after a nearly decade-long battle with cancer. But we wanted to sort of pay tribute to Norm. We are all super big fans of him. Me personally, from his times on the Weekend Update for SNL, and any sort of comedic monologue that you can find of Norm on the internet. Although we're going to share the cleaner version today. He's just always been known as a guy who tells the truth and does it in a funny and crass and blunt way. And there's really no other comedians like Norm Macdonald.
He's just so funny. We were talking about this before the show, is that I'm not as funny as Norm Macdonald. Okay?
But you're very similar.
I'm funny, but in the sense of when we were watching him on The View, there was this clip on The View that was on Old Row, and he's talking about murdering Clintons and stuff. And he just like, the View cast and the people, they're like, you got to stop it. Like, we're not talking about this anymore. And he's like, well, wait, I want to talk about it. And he keeps talking about it. It's like same thing with I Do. And Amala's like, we got to move on. And I'm like, well, wait a second.
But I got to say this one thing.
I got to say this one thing.
Yeah,
it's the same type of deal. So anyway, I respect him a lot. He's like one of the real voices of comedy.
Right.
Like someone who's actually funny just on his own.
And truthful at the same time.
And just says what's real. He says what's on everyone's mind.
Yeah.
He's the man. I love him.
He's great. I don't think I've ever seen a video of him that did not make me laugh. He's hilarious.
He's so funny.
Now, here's this clip of him on Conan O'Brien. Just enjoy.
You get in the car and what happens?
My driver tells me a joke.
The driver we sent to pick you up told you a joke.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell it now on the show.
Yeah, that's how I get a lot of my material.
Okay. Why don't we just have him on next time?
That guy. No, wait till you hear me do it. So the guy, he goes, I say, I'll be the guy.
Okay.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office. Right.
You are correct. A moth goes into a podiatrist's office, and the podiatrist's office says, what's the problem? And the moth says, what's the problem? Where do I begin, man? He goes, I go to work for Gregory Linovich, and all day long I work. Honestly, Doc, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I don't even know if Gregory Linovich knows. He only knows that he has power over me, and that seems to bring him happiness. But I don't know. I wake up in a malaise, and I walk here and there. The podiatrist says, oh, yeah? And the moth goes, yes. And he goes, at night, I sometimes wake up, and I turn to some old lady in my bed that's on my arm. A lady that I once loved, Doc. I don't know where to turn to. My youngest, Alexandria. She fell in the cold of last year. The cold took her down, as it did many of us. And my other boy. And this is the hardest pill to swallow, Doc. My other boy, Gregorio Ivanilidovich. I no longer love him. As much as it pains me to say, when I look in his eyes, all I see is the same cowardice that I catch when I take a glimpse of my own face in the mirror. If only the cowardice was stronger, then perhaps I could bring myself to reach over to that cocked and loaded gun that lays on the bedside behind me. And in this hellish facade once and for all.
How long a drive was this? Do you live in the valley? Where do you live? Please, sorry.
He says, Doc, sometimes I feel like a spider, even though I'm a moth, just barely hanging on to my web with an everlasting fire underneath me. I'm not feeling good. And so the doctor says, Moth, man, you're troubled. But you should be seeing a psychiatrist. Why on earth did you come here? And then the moth said, because the light was on.
Good stuff, man.
That was really fun.
Well, rest in peace, Norm Macdonald, a funny man. I mean, videos of him and just people listening to his comedy is going to go on for decades and ages. I think he's a timeless man, so, yeah.
What's great about him is that he had this battle with cancer, incredibly sad, for the last 7 years, but you didn't hear anything from Norm. You didn't hear him talking about his battle with cancer. He didn't come out on social media and say, oh my goodness, look at me, I have cancer, I'm dying. It's so sad or anything. He battled his cancer on his own. He didn't talk about it. He had his private life, and then he died gracefully. And, you know, it's incredibly sad that he had to go, but, you know, he did it in the right way. He did it in a way that had nothing to do with vanity. He just fought his battle, and he sadly lost, but, you know, he That's just what real masculinity is. That's what being a man is about. It's not having to put your burdens onto the rest of the world on social media and tell everyone, here's what's happening. And it's like very manly, amazing thing to do.
Right.
So
rest in peace,
guy.
Norm. What a guy.
There won't be any comedians like him for, I don't know, definitely not any now.
Yeah, I mean, ever, honestly, without comedy is gone. Yeah. But now we're going to move on to our last segment of the day. And this is an interview that we got to do with one of Dave Ramsey, or Ramsey Solutions, personality by the name of Christy Wright. Now she's coming out with a new book, and we will talk about that during this interview. But go ahead and check it out. On the show today, we have Christy Wright, who is a Ramsey Solutions personality and author of a book that's now up for pre-order, Take Back Your Time. Christy, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited about this.
So I wanted to start off with really you telling us what the premise of your work is and what the premise of your new book that comes out tomorrow is.
Yes. Well, here's what's interesting. I have been a certified business coach for over a decade. And so I've spent a lot of time helping women and men start and grow side businesses, small businesses. I've spoken at our entree leadership events here at Ramsey Solutions. And so I've done this for a long time, and this has been my background. And what's so interesting is, in 10 years of doing this, the number one question I'm asked is not a business question. It's this question. How do you balance it all? How do you balance everything? How do you balance having a business and having a full-time job? How do you balance having a family and having career goals? And so the fact that it was such a common pain point for people at all ages, all stages, seasons of life, types of work, types of businesses, male and female, made me really curious as an entrepreneur and problem solver, that I wanted to offer hope in this space. And then in my own life, having 3 kids in 5 years and feeling the strain myself, I really wanted to dig into this topic and bring some hope into a place that is traditionally really filled with guilt and a lot of shame and a lot of exhaustion and overwhelm. And the truth is, I think people walk around every day feeling like they're failing, and they're not. And so this is a book about more than just the calendar. It's about helping you enjoy the life that the calendar represents. So that's why I love the tagline, the guilt-free guide to life balance. I want to tackle the root issue that we deal with when it comes to our time.
I think something that's important is in your book, you talk about it's not about productivity, it's about doing what matters. And I know this, like we were talking before the show about, I have my book coming out, you have your book coming out, you got so many media things and other things to write and do. And it's like, you can spend your time doing just a ton of different things, or you can spend that time in the right way to make it the most meaningful amount of stuff. So when you're talking about doing what matters, what does that really mean? What is like the advice that you would give people where it's like, you need to work smarter, not harder?
Yeah, well, you make a really good point, because I think that when we think about balance and when we think even about time management, we think the solution is to do more. Well, I just need to be more productive. I need to be more efficient. I need to multitask more. I need to wake up earlier, stay up later. I need a better app. I need a better morning routine. I need to work harder and smarter and faster in between. And we do all that, and we just end up exhausted. We're exhausted, and we don't feel any more balanced. And so it led me down this path of really researching and exploring, what if balance isn't so much something you do, how you balance it all perfectly with all these analogies that we have of walking the tightrope, spinning the plates, juggling the balls, all the things. What if instead it looks like peace, even in chaos? What if it looks like being confident in your choices when you say yes to that thing or no to that thing? What if it looks like just being happy in your life and being proud of how you spend your time? I think, Will, that when we say we want balance, that's what we're really after. And so what I have come to realize, and really this is proven in research as well, I define life balance differently in this book. Life balance is not doing everything for an equal amount of time. It's about doing the right things at the right time. And when you do the right things at the right time, and you get to decide what's right for you in any new season, by the way, well, then you actually feel that sense of balance that you've been looking for all along. And so to your point, it's not about productivity and doing more. It's about doing what matters. So you need to decide what matters to you. That's the first step in my 5 tactical steps to create balance in your life. Decide what matters, even specifically in this season. Like, what matters to me right now in the middle of a book season, and I'm sure you're experiencing this as well, Will, is different than what mattered to me this summer. This summer, I took Fridays off. I went to the lake. I was working out, seeing my friends, and my house was sort of clean. These things are not true right now. Okay. Like, I am working all the time. I'm not seeing my friends. I'm not working out. My house is not really clean right now. But what matters in this season is different than what mattered in last season. And I think that if we begin to consider the season we're in and decide what matters, it gives us a sense of permission to focus on those things, knowing that they will change again. Just because something's not right now doesn't mean it'll never be right, but it gives us that permission to focus on that. And when you focus on the right things at the right time and spend your time on those things, you shake the guilt for what's not right now that you're not doing, whether that's a clean house or time with friends or whatever. But it also allows you to experience what is right now and enjoy it and be proud of it. And I think that's a pretty big gift in our culture that is so distracted and so connected.
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, my beer gut has expanded with the same thing. You know, my priorities with that is not the same. But one thing, digging deeper, you talked about prioritizing, doing the right thing, and you talked about confidence. And I find that most young people nowadays, they don't feel like they have that confidence in the decisions that they make. They feel very insecure about all of these new things that are going on. Like young people are very risk averse. They say, I don't want to take risks on anything. I want to live very safe lives. I don't want to, prioritize things that I know I'm supposed to be doing and would rather just do what everyone else is doing. What is the advice that you have for people when they're looking at their life and trying to prioritize and do the right thing, but they don't feel like they have the confidence to do so? How do they actually, get past that and start getting into that right mindset?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And what's interesting is this is a process. It's not something at any age that you flip a switch and you're confident, or you flip a switch and you know exactly what you want to do and it's crystal clear. For most people, it's a process, but part of becoming a grown-up, part of maturing into adulthood is finding confidence in the choices that are right for you. Now, should you look to your right and your left and be inspired by best practices or people that have awesome jobs and awesome marriages that you want to learn from? For sure. But there's a piece of this process where you have to go, okay, I'm going to learn from these principles and apply them to my life and figure out what's right for me. And the thread that I pull through the whole book, the thing that I reiterate every single chapter is it's your life. No one gets to tell you what should be important to you. No one gets to tell you what you should spend your time on. This is your life. How you spend your time is how you spend your life. So this matters. And so I don't tell people in this book what you should be doing with your time. I ask questions that bring awareness to help them discover that for themselves and then find confidence to act on those. Because what's interesting is when you begin to take action on your priorities, on the choices that you make, that confidence grows. I even walk through several ways to build confidence in your choices in the book because it's a muscle. If you never exercise that confidence muscle, then it's a little weak at first, like any muscle. But the more you exercise it, the more you practice it, the more you strengthen it, the easier it becomes. I was actually just telling Megan, my publicist, before we went live, I said, I'm getting really good at my no muscle in this season because I keep having this request from church to do one thing after another. And I'd committed to hosting a small group. And there were very clear boundaries on this is what I'm willing to commit and nothing else. And they just keep asking. And I'm like, oh, we're not taking any more commitments at this time. Thank you. Like you just have to practice it. But the more you practice it, it really does get easier. It's just going to take some practice.
Amazing. Now, my last question for you is sort of not really within the scope of your book, but I feel like your book can sort of help young women with this question and with this hardship that we're going through right now. I'm 21, and I find that women in my generation, there's this massive push now telling them, well, don't get married, don't build long-term relationships, and certainly don't have kids. Your career is far more important than that. We're pushing women into STEM fields. We're pushing women into sort of the corporate world, and young women are then choosing not to build long-term relationships and not to have children. What are your thoughts on that and that sort of way that our generation is moving towards?
I think that anytime you get into generalizations, stereotypes, and a one-size-fits-all formula for anyone, it's dangerous because I believe that we are all very unique. And our paths are going to look very unique, whether a woman starts a business or works in a career or stays home with her kids or doesn't have kids or volunteers full-time. That's her choice. And what's so beautiful is we live in a time when we do have more options than ever before. And while that's exciting, that can be overwhelming. And it can almost be paralyzing. We're going, wow, I have so many choices. The thing that I would encourage people to do is actually not look around you for what everyone else is doing. It's reflect. Like, what makes you come alive? What brings you energy and gives you joy? Tap into that and follow those things. And know, by the way, that what makes you come alive right now may change in a year or 10 years, and that's okay. Amala, when I was 23, I was working at a farm. I lived on a farm full time, like taking care of goats and mini donkeys. That isn't my dream today. Okay. Dreams change, but that was right then. You can change your mind and your plans and your priorities. You don't have to put yourself in a box of this is what successful women do. I want to help you define your version of success and chase that. And if that's in the home, with kids, no kids, in a career in New York at a Fortune 500 company, I think every person is unique and you have permission to do what's right for you.
Great. Amazing. Well, that is Christy Wright, everybody. You can order her book, Take Back Your Time, virtually anywhere where you can purchase books. And that will be coming out tomorrow. Christy, do you have anything you want to say to our audience before we let you go?
No, thank you so much for having me. I hope this encourages them to pursue what's right for them. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And that's Christy Wright. So yeah, we had two amazing people whose names start with Chris on the show today.
Wow.
Actually, Chris
with Christ
on the show today. And yeah, we're gonna wrap up here. We talked about the Met Gala. We talked about the passing of Norm Macdonald. We had Chris Rufo on the show, and we had Christy Wright on the show. Now, make sure you tune in tomorrow because we are going to be doing a watch party to watch our new short documentary, Miseducated, featuring Christopher Rufo and our very own Jill Simonian of PragerU Kids. So make sure you get to see the premiere of our documentary with Will and I and Jill tomorrow. Now, Will, what do you want to tell the audience?
Well, Thursday's even more important to tune in because Thursday we are shaving my mustache, that's a big deal. Okay. Well, depending, we might shave my mustache. So you have to tune in to find out. And bring your own razor. I don't know why I said that.
It's a party.
Yeah, it's a razor party. Didn't you guys do that in college? Razor parties?
Yep, been there.
The good old days. Anyway, no, it's not a razor party. Okay, just tune in on Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And then after that show at 4 p.m. Pacific on Thursday, I'm going to be doing a live Q&A book club or book launch Q&A on my Facebook page. So that's at the Will Witt on Facebook at 4 p.m. That's 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. I'll be doing a Q&A, and Amala will be there too. So she's going to be there too, helping with questions and doing all sorts of stuff, selling the book some more. So, and again, How to Win Friends and Influence Enemies. We are close to the New York Times bestseller list. Anywhere books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Books A Million, wherever you want to go. Get a signed copy at the link in my Instagram and Twitter bio. And I really appreciate it, guys. And I think that about wraps up the show today.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, click the notification bell. And if you'd rather listen, go to Google Play, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review if it so pleases you. Bye, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you for the razor party.